Okay, I guess this is kind of a voice reveal, but I figured I'd talk about Officers Day, and easiest officers to max the free-to-play, and easiest way to max them. Guess, first off, we'll start off with Percy. So, if you're just starting the game, then you're gonna want to, get, of course, all of your officers level 30, but then, so you unlock all of their skills, but once you've done that, you want to put every single officer statue, or officer XP book you get into her to get her level 60, so that you can get her statue slowly and max her, because she works on most units. She works on a field fighter, she works on anti-tank gun for base defense, she works on artillery for base defense. She also has her buff that if you're out of your base fighting, whenever her skill pops, she will buff the units around her. Only your units, of course, though. So, she's she's a versatile officer who works on everything. Next up, we're going to talk about Antonia. Of course, as you're playing the game slowly, you're going to be getting officer statues. Universal ones, and maybe some of her statues. Now, because of how useful she is, you're going to want to put every officer statue, universal one and hers, into her to max her, because she is one of the best officers in the game. When she's maxed, she makes it so your artillery has more range, and she does a huge amount of damage when her skill hits something. She also ups artillery and base defense when it's garrisoned, ups its damage. She also ups the just general firepower of all your artillery units, such as artillery, rocket, Katyusha, the anti-tank guns. And she also, one of her skills ups officer damage to maximum of 25% more damage. So, in general, she is, of course, a very, very good officer to max, because she'll make it so you can destroy bases way faster and generally just do better in combat against other players. Sorry about the cough. Next up, we're going to talk about Sergeant Spanner. So, after you have maxed Antonia, right? And this is generally for later game when you have all your camps maxed. As long as you focus on doing every Liberty officer mission you can, you will slowly get his statues, because you get his statues from officer missions, of course, right? So you can slowly max his skills. And after you have maxed Antonia, you can start putting all of the officer statues you get into him to max him, because he is extremely good on tanks because of his healing skill and also just his increased durability. So if you can max him, you will be able to tank bases way better and generally survive longer in combat against other units. May even be able to destroy units that are more powerful than yours. So he is just generally like a must-have maxable officer. And because you can do the officer missions, you'll get his statues passively, even if you're not putting other statues into him. So he is a very, very good officer to max, and generally a good choice to go for. Now let's talk about War Machine. Now, War Machine is something that you can max as a free-to-play. You don't have to spend anything in the game. Because his statues, let's go to the Alliance store, you can buy 20 a week for around 5,500, 6,000 contribution coins. And generally, if you farm enough, passively, in your Alliance territory, and you contribute to people's research, you will get enough coins by the end of the week to not only buy that, but also still have enough to buy other things in the store, if you need to. Now, it does take a while, so I would recommend, once you have Antonia and Spanner maxed, you might want to put a few universal statues into him as well, just to speed it up. Because right now, let's say for me, it's going to take me 5 months to get him maxed from here. So I think I'm going to use, once I max my Spanner, I'm going to put 200 statues in the max in this and this skill. That way it'll only take me 2.5 months to max these two. Because you can only buy, of course, 20 a week. So I recommend starting this as soon as you start the game. Get into a good alliance, start farming, start buying his statues, even if it's only 10 a week at first. Because, of course, you want to be able to buy city passes and shit like that. So, of course, you're going to slowly max him. But I recommend starting to max him as soon as you start the game. I wish I had done it sooner. If I'd done it sooner, well, I would be in a much better position right now. But I didn't, because I'm a dumbass. Next up, we're going to talk about Bloody Mary. Now, this is extremely late game, okay? Once you have Spanner maxed, you can start focusing on doing Vanguard missions only. Because then, you'll slowly get her statues. Like, I don't focus Vanguard missions, but over the time I play this game, I have all her skills at level 3 now, which isn't that much, but that's still, I think, 120 statues put into her, when I've never put a single universal statue in her. So just from generally doing the 23-hour missions, because I'm one of those boo-hoo, when I do missions, I do the 3 24-hour missions at the top, and then I focus on one camp. So, of course, Liberty, all Liberty units, right? All Liberty missions, so I can get the statues. So I generally slowly have gotten other statues for Bloody Mary, and also for, where the fuck is she? White Wolf. So, because of that, I have slowly maxed them. Now, so once you have maxed Spanner, you can start focusing on Vanguard missions, and slowly getting her statues to max her. Because she is a very good unit to have on tanks, and light tanks especially. Because she increases, movement speed, which means you can chase down units faster. She increases attack damage, and whenever you're not in combat, she will heal your unit. So, let's say you're a light tank user, you destroy some stuff, but you get shot a few times, right? You can run away, and when you're out of combat, you won't lose any, or your units will heal themselves, which is very, very good to have. And of course she has this, which when it is used, it does a tiny bit of damage, and it will make it so the enemy's skill on their unit will take an extra second to pop, which is very good if you're fighting artillery, because then, let's say you're fighting them, you shoot them a bunch of times, and then they start to attack you, well, your skill will pop, and then you can run away, meaning that their skill won't hit you, which is the most dangerous thing that when you're fighting high-level artillery. So, she is a very good unit to have on your medium tanks, light tanks, anything like that. Plus, if you, late game, if you use a lot of artillery, you can put it on one of your artillery units to make it a little bit faster. Make it so that you can attack other units. Like I said, the skill will prolong it, so you can kill their stuff faster. Generally increases attack damage. She's very good to have. Now, this is extremely late game, I'm about to go into. After you max Bloody Mary, you can try to max White Wolf just because you can focus on Martyr Officer missions. Now, I don't know about anyone who's watching this, but I don't generally use infantry. I have 3, just from an old joke, but I don't use them. But, let's say you do use infantry. She, of course, is very overpowered on infantry. But, even if you don't, it's generally good. It's a maxed officer. I'm never going to say no to a maxed officer. You should never say no to a maxed officer. So, this is a very, very good thing to have. Because, of course, she has her skill coefficient, which, when it pops, it does damage. She has an attack damage buff. And then these two are only for infantry. But, generally, still, never going to want to say no to a maxed officer. So, once you've maxed Bloody Mary, you can start focusing Martyr missions to slowly max her. Now, after you've maxed, of course, Spanner, this is going back a little bit, what you do with your universal statues you get is up to you. Now, you can either try to max Steel Fighter, which would be good for your super heavy, because she, of course, has the shield, which protects your units. You could try maxing Winter Huntsman, which, when paired with a Bloody Mary, is extremely dangerous to artillery and other units because of his skill coefficient. He has damage resist, troop firepower, durability plus. He also makes it so you'll heal a little bit faster in combat, or out of combat. And then his final skill, his revival booster, makes it so that whenever his skill pops, the enemy units cannot attack you and they cannot move. Pair that with Bloody Mary's skill, which makes it so that the enemy's skill takes longer to pop. It is very damaging and very useful to have. So, here's something you could do. But of course, try maxing Eruptor so you have another good artillery officer for people who run multiple artillery, or even one artillery. Still extremely useful to have. Generally, every officer in the game is useful. Even Angel of Light. Angel of Light, when maxed, is good because she will heal your units in combat. Her on a super heavy paired with Spanner is very good. I actually don't know who's better, Spanner and Angel of Light, or Spanner and Steel Fighter. I need to do more testing. I'm pretty sure everyone needs to do more testing on this. So, when I have more information, I may make an update video on who's better. Just test them out. See who does a little bit better.
I sense my prey.
But that's all I have right now. Oh, of course, Death Adder. I don't really know much about him, but apparently he's very good. I've heard from a few people that he's a very good Officer Max. I'm not going to get into it because I don't really know what's so good about him. But, like I said, whenever I find out who's better, Steel Fighter or Angel of Light, if by then I know why Death Adder is good, I will include him in that video as to why he is good. I know this was kind of a random video, but I figured it needed to be made, since, of course, I'm a free-to-play. I want to help all the other free-to-play players out there. Even if you're not a free-to-play, this information will still help you a lot in the long run. So, yeah, I guess, thanks for watching. I'm ready for y'all's comments to talk about how funny my voice is, and yeah, I guess I'll see y'all later.